I actually have no idea what this video is even about. There's no topic for today, but no real reason why I'm making this video. I thought that maybe we could just vibe. We could talk and maybe it would lead somewhere. Maybe it won't. Who knows? We can just figure out, right? Um, there are some things that I've been thinking about lately that I wanted to talk to. I'm a little bit awkward today because I don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, I do know what I'm talking about. I just don't know what I'm going to talk about next. There's some things that I've been wondering about lately. Uh, it's like recently I read that every second that passes on Earth, around 4 to 5,000 stars are born in the universe. And that was mind boggling for me to learn because that was a shock. I guess it wasn't a shock, but it changed the way I looked at the universe. I mean, we know that the universe is an ever expanding thing, but who knew it's expanding at such a rate? 4,000 stars. I mean, our solar system is just one star, and that's big enough as it is. And 4,000 stars, and maybe there could be like 4,000 solar systems out there. And when you think about the universe in such a way, you realize that you know so less, right? Like when Carl Sagan points out the pale blue dot, you start thinking about, wow, we are so tiny. And we are tiny as a whole planet, right? Like all of us, like 8 or 9 billion of us are so tiny. And then when you look at yourself, you are even more tiny. You are minuscule. And sometimes it makes you think like an existentialist, like whether your life even matters. Who knows, right? Who knows? But that doesn't mean you shouldn't live your life to the fullest. Like you shouldn't enjoy it. There doesn't have to be a purpose to everything, right? If we put a purpose to everything, then we make everything sort of boring and mechanical. So you should just ball sometimes and just enjoy life as it is. Um, one of the things, that fascinates me every time is surrealism. I mean, I'm just fascinated by art in general because I just find that artists have a weird and different way of thinking than normal people. And surrealism is like a form of art that feels like thinking differently in a different in an art style which makes you think differently. It's like it's like an art form which thinks in the way that the box doesn't even exist. They're not thinking out of it. It doesn't even exist. Like, and especially like something like the lobster telephone. I don't know if you've seen this, but like, I mean, Dali had made this lobster look like a telephone, and he placed it on the telephone, and apparently it was supposed to mean something. I have no idea what it means. And I think that is also a thing about like surrealism, is that a lot of time the art doesn't even mean anything. Like if you see the paintings of Bekchinsky, they don't really mean anything. And he says, I don't want them to mean anything, which is fine. Like, it doesn't have to. Like same way, right? Like I said, you don't need to have a purpose for everything. Art doesn't need to mean everything. Every art doesn't need to mean something. And like I think the lobster telephone is quite interesting because when you look at it, uh, it's sort of absurd. It's like it's like like, why does this exist? And I think sometimes a lot of art and abstract art will make you think that too. Um, but hey, I mean, that is how it is. I mean, your mind is always producing something, and art is the way of putting it to the physical world. And I think that that is so not just fascinating, but so interesting that we are given an apparatus, right? Our body is like an apparatus, which is sort of a vessel or could be a weapon to bring things to life. I mean, not just do we do reproduction, we are also creating things all the time. Like art, for example, or even if you're doing work, you're doing something, like you're creating something that did not exist before. When you're discovering or when you're inventing, and every sort of, I guess, action of living is discovering and is creating. Every time you're creating a new memory, a new thought, a new anything. And every breath is a new experience. And we forget that sometimes because everything can seem repetitive these days, but it's not repetitive in the sense that we think it is. Every moment is different, even if it feels the same. And every individual is different, right? Like, I guess I see a lot of people nowadays, and I don't know if I should say this, but it looks like they have lost their individuality. Everybody feels like I'm gonna quote Fight Club. Everybody feels like a copy of a copy of a copy, and everybody's just. It seems like a lot of like Gen Z or like young people are just copying trends or doing things to stay relevant, and a lot of people don't seem to possess any individuality. Like what are you? Like, what do you like? What kind of clothes do you like to wear? Like, what do you like to wear? Not what you have to wear or what you should wear for the people you like or for the company you like, you know? And it's because so many people are not that introspective. And even if you're not introspective, you don't follow your own instincts because you feel the need to copy people or to, you know, do the same things, have the most relevant activities, and, you know, be loud, even though you are not particularly a loud person. But you have to look loud, or you have to, you know, watch certain movies that make you relevant in certain circles. And you have to, you know, wear clothes that make you fit in. And I think the idea of fitting in is so harmful for society in general because, look, I understand that like somewhere everybody has to fit in to society in some way or the other. I mean, we are the same species, and if you live in society, you have to abide by it. But that doesn't mean you should lose your individuality because then what is the point of having freedom, right? And because so many people don't have individuality, they're always in a competition mode. You know, they're always competing with each other. Like if they're doing the same thing, so who can do it better? But I feel like competition is for losers anyway. Like if you're competing with somebody else, then like you're not being yourself anyway. Like you're not proud or you're not happy with what you're doing. You're doing it because you need to defeat somebody else, or you need to be better than somebody else, or you need to be, you know, evolving to put the other person down. I'm not saying that competition is a bad thing either. Like I think oftentimes competition can bring out the best in you, but there's no need to compete at all. Like if you are really, really, really happy in who you are and what you're doing, especially, and you have discovered who you are as an individual and you have that individuality, then you don't have any need to compete with anybody. You're happy with yourself as you are, and that is something to embrace. I mean, if you have individuality, which is sort of a basic necessity, then you should celebrate it. So you should celebrate it, really. Your life is a celebration, as it should be. It's a party, man. Just ball. Feels sort of weird to say ball. But yeah, man, just party. Life is a party too, and you need to just enjoy every moment because it's so rare and so different every time. One of the writers that really makes you appreciate every moment is Bukowski. I mean, Bukowski also makes you hate every moment. I guess with his poetry, his idea is just to make you notice things, I guess. Especially notice them in a different way than you already did. And Bukowski is beautiful. Like, he doesn't abide by any laws. He's like the most individualistic person ever, I guess. Maybe not really. They're quite, like, these great artists are quite individualistic themselves. But Bukowski is just not afraid to say anything that he wants. And he says it in the most rough and most, like, grotesque sort of way. And he says it with vulgarity and, like, tough love and or sort of toughness or a roughness. And there's a texture to even his words. And that's quite interesting to see in literature. I know that Bukowski has inspired many different writers and so many upcoming writers, but one of the things that I find in Bukowski is that even though he thinks that, so much of his life or so much of the life in general is so purposeless and people are such a pain, and so oftentimes it feels like life is such a sad thing, but he's able to find the joy and the love in life. He's able to find those beautiful small things, the small moments that make it beautiful. Even though he writes in such a way that makes you think, maybe does he really like it? I mean, he seems like he's hating everything, but through the hate, I think he's making us notice the things that he loves. I read this poetry about his ex-wife and him taking out his daughter out, and it's like, I think the name of the poetry was something like "I hate my ex-wife" or something like that, and he was like talking to her in a way that is like he despises her, but you realize that he actually loves her. And I think in the same way, we sometimes, we are upset with life and we are upset with ourselves and we are upset with the way that things are going, and you feel like life is just taking things from you and it's not giving anything back, and you're left sort of empty and feel stuffed, but you can still, like, see the beauty in life. I think it's one of the tough moments that you actually see the smaller, finer beauty in life. And I think that's also one of the reasons that, so many artists are able to see that beauty. Like, I'm not saying the heavy artists are depressed, but so many of them are. But so many of them are so uncomfortable, and so many of them are so unsatisfied with their own lives that they have started to notice the smaller details, the finer details, the small things that really matter. And, I recently read this book called The Stranger. I mean, it's not recent. I read like a year ago. Wait a second. This battery's about to die. Let me just change my batteries.
Few moments later.
I'm sorry, my battery died. Yeah, so I was talking about The Stranger, right? And I read this book like a year ago, not that long ago, but it was quite interesting to get into the philosophy of absurdism. And Albert Camus is quite an interesting writer. Gives you a perspective. And, Camus is also one of those writers where he makes you feel like, he hates life. Or like his protagonist hates life, and there's nothing quite interesting about the way that they see their lives. But I also feel like through that, right, like there's a Sisyphus metaphor, like we must imagine Sisyphus happy. And I really like that point of view. Because if life doesn't give you a purpose or a meaning, then you make that purpose for yourself. Like, if there is no purpose, let's say that God doesn't exist, there is no purpose, there's no meaning to anything in this universe. Great. It's amazing, right? Like, now I can assign a purpose to myself. I can assign a purpose to the way I want to live, to how my life would have meaning, or what would be the meaning of my life. And when you have that same individuality and you have this sort of purpose and you give yourself, an individual way of existing, then you realize that there is no competition, right? And we talked about this. There is no competition. And because of that, you realize that the grass is never greener on the other side. The grass is not greener on the other side. And I think this other creator called Zerky talked about this in his video. And I really like the point that he came up with. And he said that, the grass is never greener on the other side. The only grass that matters is the one that grows in your patch. And the grass that doesn't grow on your patch of land is something that doesn't even concern you. And I thought that was beautiful to think about. Like, what a statement. Because the only grass that we can ever control or have any relation with is the one that grows on our patch, right? And we only have control over the lives that we live. We only have control over the things that we can do. And our life is unique because everybody has a unique beginning. No two people have the same beginning. No two people have the same likes, the same way of growing up, and same parents or same anything. And that is something to embrace, right? And so when we do embrace that, when we do embrace our individual beginnings, then we can also embrace our individual paths. We can embrace the fact that we can go any way that we want, and our life may not be the same as everybody else. Like two fruits can grow on the same tree and they may not grow at the same time. One may grow faster and the other may take his own time, but both are fruits. Both have the same purpose. And I think sometimes a tree grows slower than the other, but it grows taller than the other. Taking time or, any of these things is not a bad thing. That's why I'm saying that life is not a competition. None of it is. There maybe in a way there is no grass. That is also another interesting way of looking at it. Maybe there is no grass. Maybe if we talk about competition, why don't we talk about the fact that we are so minuscule anyway? And that brings us back to the start, but I don't want to go back there again. I think we've come a good long way now. And, we're talking about, purpose and stuff like that. And maybe I should just calm down about these things, but it's quite fascinating. It's quite fascinating to be fluid and to just flow. And I like that this video is going that way, that we're just flowing from one topic to another and we're just being fluid. And I think fluidity is also something that is so important, right? Being fluid in your thoughts, in your roles in life is very important. It is okay not to be the same person. I know that sometimes people meet you after a long time and you talk to them and they say that, hey man, you changed. Damn right I changed. That's how life is supposed to be. You're not supposed to be the same person all the time. You're supposed to change. You're supposed to grow. If you are the same person, then then you're not living life. Then you're frozen in time. Maybe I'm going too far with that, but yeah, I mean, it's the change is a rule of nature. Keep changing, being fluid. Just flow from one state to another without thinking about it. I think a big problem with all of us is that we second guess ourselves so much. And we overthink and we hold ourselves back because we believe that, I gotta cater to somebody. You don't gotta cater to anybody. You only gotta cater to yourself. Keep changing, keep flowing. You don't have to, maybe today you're a writer, right? Maybe today you're a writer and you have the urge to do something else and maybe you want to be a sportsman. Do it. follow your urge, like follow this, be fluid. And then you become a sportsman and you feel like, yo, I mean, now I want to be, now I want to be a swimmer, and you are a swimmer. And then you think, okay, now I want to be an artist, and you're an artist now. I want to be a sculpture maker, and you're a sculpture maker now. And you just keep flowing, man, like whatever your mind is flowing to. Look, I understand that maybe what I'm saying is not so realistic, and it doesn't have to be. Like, you can be your own person too. What is realistic, what is not realistic is something that we hold ourselves by. And yeah, I mean, society does play a part in that, but you don't have to be by doing those things professionally for you to claim that you are doing those things. You can be whatever you want to be, and you can do whatever you want to do without having society giving you the tag that you are doing that thing. And maybe that's a weird way to put it, but I don't know how else to do that. It's important, just be fluid, just flow. And when you lose that flow, then you feel stuck. I think that is one of the big reasons why I feel stuck in general, is because we stop flowing and we stop going from one thought to another, and we stop ourselves and we think that, this is who I am. And you box yourself, you lock in. Why? And then, when you lock in for too long, you become upset with yourself. Some people burn out. And that is why it feels like you should just be so fine-tuned with yourself that you don't have to do that. If you keep following your intuition and you keep following the way that you're thinking, then you will naturally just flow the way that you have to. You don't have to worry about those things. And so just flow with it. Just go with the flow and just enjoy the time. I like that sentence, go with the flow. Somebody said it. I was quite young, and it's something that keeps coming back to me. But one of the things that really bothers me is the fact that today we are so separated, and we are so segregated, and we feel the need to judge each other. We feel the need to call each other out. And okay, it's fine to call each other out sometimes. You need tough love. But I don't understand why we are so segregated in like 2026. In big 2026, why are you so separated, man? For real. Like, it doesn't matter if you're white or you're black or you're brown or you're, yellow or whatever. Just be yourself. Like, it's fine to be yourself. And again, like, I don't understand why we should judge somebody else for being the way they are. It's not just about color. Like, you could be of any religion, you could be of any school of thinking, or you could have any political leaning or anything. I mean, these things are just labels, and people are more than the labels that they carry, And we separate ourselves and we segregate ourselves according to the things that matter to us, and what we may call sometimes our principles, or we may call, things that are that we will not sacrifice on. And that's great. You shouldn't. But I don't understand why today, there's still so many problems that are actually just like, that should go away with the evils of the past. Sometimes we act like we are still colonized. And I don't understand, because somewhere feels like the colonization has happened in our minds. And some of us still act like we are slaves, and some of us still act like we have rules that we have to abide to and we have to limit ourselves to, but you don't. And you can love another person the way you want to. You don't have to, I don't think there should be any restriction to just showing respect and love. And the internet just becomes a sort of like toxic place where you feel the need to establish your superiority or your individuality. But just having superiority means that you don't need to show it. If you truly have superiority, or if you truly have individuality, it means that you don't need to show it. There's no reason to show it because you already have it. The same thing with money, right? Like, if you if you laugh at a rich person and you call him poor, he's just going to laugh in your face. If you laugh at a poor person and you call him poor, he's going to argue with you. He's going to fight back. And I think that is why I don't understand why we have to be so separate from each other. We always keep dividing ourselves, and then we talk about, hey man, if we live in divisions, we live in peace. But we are never in peace. We always feel the need to show that we are better than the other person, that we are better than, somebody else, or somebody who belongs to another group or who follows another religion, who's somebody who's of another color, and then there's stereotypes, and these people act in this way and these people act in this way. And I don't know, I see a lot of these things on the internet. It sort of makes me sad that people have to put another person down to just bring themselves up. Yeah, maybe this is sort of a depressing topic, but I also feel like we live in such a capitalistic time. And I'm trying to put this in a more interesting way, but what I mean is that it's like we are given time and we said that, hey man, you have freedom. But then you gotta put that time into things like money generation. And it's like you have this obligation that you have to work for somebody, or that you have to work at all. And maybe this is a privileged way of saying it, but that is why something like Auroville fascinates me. Because there is no price tag on time. They follow this thing on like a barter system where everybody lives together and everybody helps each other, and you provide a service, and in exchange of that, I get a service from you, and I get something from you, and I give you something, and same thing like that. And it's not like you don't have to justify, your time with money. It feels like, we live in a capitalistic time where work has to be something that has to generate money. And I can understand that. Like, I'm not criticizing the way the banks work, or I'm not criticizing the way the jobs work, or I guess the job market is pretty bad, but I'm not criticizing work in general. I'm just criticizing that there is actually a price tag on time itself. And if you're not, working hard, or you're not making a business, or you're not rich by 25, or rich by 19, then you're a failure. And I think that is a real problem, because it makes you feel that way. Society does make you feel that way. And nowadays it's become, those numbers are going more and more down, and it makes us feel more down, because it makes you feel like, hey man, why aren't you a millionaire by 19? That's like a 1 in a million or 1 in a billion case, bro. Not everybody is a millionaire by 19. That is why when somebody becomes a millionaire at 19, they go on the news. They become famous, or it's not something that everybody does or everybody has to do. It's a good thing. I mean, it's great that you started something and you did it, but not everybody has to validate their life. You can just live the way you want to live, and you don't have to just act the way that everybody tells you, because then your life would be meaningful. We anyway don't know what makes our life meaningful. We don't know the purpose of our lives. I think for me, one of the most fascinating people ever, or somebody who I in a way really look up to, is David Lynch. David Lynch just breaks the boundaries of what a person should be, or how they should live, or how they should behave, or what they should think. He's doing everything that in a way society tells you this is not the right way to do. And he's not afraid of doing those things. He's not afraid of being weird or being eccentric, right? I love that. I love him so much, and it's so sad that he's gone now, but it's kind of sad that he's gone now. And you feel his absence every day. I do. I still miss the weather reports and the movies, and it's just things, and he's left us so much. But I think what made him so fascinating was the person himself. I think he's the most fascinating person ever for me. He's funny, and he's so unintentionally funny. And sometimes you feel like he's saying something in a comic way, but he's not. He means it, and that's what makes it even more funny, I think. And he takes art and he takes life so seriously, and yet he takes it so fun. Like he talks about things like fishing in your mind, which I find so fascinating. Like doing that transcendental meditation and just going in your mind and just putting the rod for ideas. And I like how he talks about ideas. It's like their treasure. They are the real treasure. And I guess in his line of work they are, but I guess to him, the way he talks about them, he values them so much more than just for what he can make of them. I think for him, the idea of getting an idea, of coming up with something new, of thinking something that nobody else has thought, is a treasure. And that is in a way true, because it is like a sea, right? Like what if our mind is a big ocean and which has a lot of fish, and you don't know what fish is going to come to you, but when it does come to you, it is important. It is you are sort of indebted with a responsibility of what you will do with it. And the same thing goes for talent too, right? We think that talent is something that is a gift, but it feels like talent is more like a debt, that you have to make something if you're talented, that you have to make use of your talent, otherwise it's of no use. Anyway, coming back to Lynch, man, his movies are just absolutely amazing. I mean, Elephant Man and Straight Story are just something that have just crushed me. Mulholland Drive sort of boggles your mind, and some movies are sort of weird. And he is the surrealist artist. He is the Renaissance man. He does everything, right? He's into painting, and he was into painting, and he was into movies, and he's so fascinating. I have thoroughly enjoyed exploring his art and his way of thinking and his process. And I think a lot of artists could learn from his process. And it's not just art, but in a way, his way of living. I love his short film, Making Quinoa with David Lynch. And they're cooking quinoa in the movie, and he's, just randomly saying a story. And there's something oddly, there's something oddly interesting or so oddly meaningful about that film. And I like his insistence on feeling art instead of understanding it too. I like that idea of it is a feeling based medium, right? It evokes emotions in you, and similarly it makes you think of art itself from a feeling based point. Like you're not supposed to understand everything, and that's fine even if you don't. Like so many of Christopher Nolan movies are something that I haven't understood, and there's so many complex things that goes on, and that's fine. Even Nolan tells you to feel them. And sometimes it feels like, some of these people are covering up for making confusing movies, but it also feels like they are they mean it. They mean the fact that you should just feel sometimes instead of thinking with your head, just feel it with your heart. And for Lynch movies, those things work. Lynch movies are based on feelings, and he uses music so well and people so well. And I mean, again, I keep going to the art, but the person himself is so fascinating. He's like truly one of the unique minds that is not with us today, and it pains us. Overall, man, I think sometimes you should just take a chill pill and just, some like this, you should just maybe think out loud. I think this was in a way an exercise for me to think out loud my thoughts, and it helped me. Making videos in general have given me a clarity of mind, and I've not just enjoyed doing that, but I've learned about how to articulate myself. And I'm articulating myself better every day, and I'm happy with that. And it's interesting that we live in a time where you could talk to a camera and still feel satisfied. Like you just talked to a person and you took your feelings out. And I enjoyed this time with you. I hope you enjoyed this time too.